Recovery doesn't start tomorrow.
Calling all angels.
Recovery starts right now. And here to help is Rated R for Recovery.
Calling all you angels. Calling all angels. Calling all you angels.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Rated R for Recovery. That is Rated R, the number 4, recovery.com on the internet. Like us on the Facebook, pass us around. You can hear any edition of Rated R for Recovery on our website, or you can go to YouTube. We broadcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, and Pandora. I'm an addict and alcoholic. My name's John.
Hey, John. I'm
Let
an
me-
alcoholic. My name's Joy. Welcome
Hello.
to the show.
Hello, Joy. And yes, everybody. So you might be, as I say each week, a little description, Joy,
What do you got?
of what we're like or what we are. Rated R for Recovery is a recovery-based, faith-driven program bringing hope, healing, restoration to individuals and families impacted by addiction. Through interviews, sharing information, and entertainment, we strive to be a catalyst for all who wish to recover.
You didn't do the pantomime
I don't know what that is.
when you go,
Yeah.
interviews.
Oh, yes, very good. Oh, I like that. Yeah. And you think I would never be able to be an actor because I don't think I could ever remember my lines.
You're correct.
I'd be like Marlon Brando, only different. Yeah, and not as well paid. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. We want to thank our sponsors before we start. Remember, JCI Solutions, they're a painting contractor, both residential and commercial. You want to call Mike at 239-672-2673. That's for all your painting needs. The company of Next Step, which is a dual diagnosis recovery center. Brian Edwards, LLC, attorney at law. Shamrock Bail Bonds, Phoenix House, Celebrate Recovery, and just signed today, White Sands. So welcome to all of those, and the most important, I shouldn't say the most important, but our special sponsor, because they are part of this show, is Kimmy's Recovery
All
Center.
right. They're the backbone.
So don't you just love this?
Oh, you talking to me?
Yeah,
I thought you were
looking
looking
right
at her.
at
I do. I
Yeah,
do love
I
this.
can
When
tell.
it's good, it's very, very good.
you. When it's bad, it's real bad too. So we'll just hopefully it's really, really
When
good.
it's bad, it ain't that bad.
So anyway, let's introduce our first guest. Without any further ado, please welcome Vivian to the show. I want to tell you, for anybody that, I'm going to let Vivian tell her own story. But
That's
what
good.
an impactful story Vivian has. Vivian, what was it like?
Well, you like my childhood first, don't you?
Probably.
So, I grew up with my mom, who was a heroin addict, and pretty much everything that you can think of that can happen to a little girl happened to me. I helped support my mom's heroin addiction. I only lived with my mom till I was 6. I'm 6.5, 7, and I remember the closets. I remember the bars in the back rooms. I remember the men. I remember the cardboards. I remember all of that.
You had said right off the bat that you helped support your mom's heroin addiction.
Yes.
How did you do that? You were a child.
So I did sex shows, and I was trafficked to men at a very young age. There's a lot of things that, happen. And I found my mom, because I was adopted at 7 by her great uncle, and I thought that would be better, but that didn't turn out so great.
No.
That was like a domestic violence relationship. He was my father, my lover. I started running away at 9 years old. I tried to commit suicide for the first time at 13. And just to kind of give you, he was just a very hard man. He would beat me till I couldn't sit. He would come in my room when I was 9 and beat me in my sleep because I didn't know how to sleep like a lady. I don't know how a lady sleeps, but it was with your legs closed, with a blanket covering you, and you're supposed to sleep not moving. He was like a drill sergeant and very abusive physically, to where I beat me till I couldn't sit down. I had braces and my teeth would be impacted, and I'd have to take days to unbreak my braces. And I really thought that man was going to kill me.
Didn't anybody step in? Didn't neighbors or teachers or other children? I mean, good Lord.
So I lived a very opulent life. We were very wealthy. He had an airplane. We had a home in Boca Raton. We had, a hotel on the beach. We had everything on the outside. I looked perfect. And inside, I was dying.
Wow.
And people would look at me and think, you have everything. What's wrong with you? And, finally a teacher did in the 9th grade. She met my father, and she just knew. And she said, if he does anything to you again, call me. And I called her the next day because he had choked me and threw me up against the wall and did his usual abuse. And I just knew, I can't do this anymore, And so I ran away, and I went to a place called the Covenant House, which is a place for throwaway, runaway, trafficked teenagers.
Did your teacher help you get out of the house?
Yeah, she picked me up.
Very
I called her, she picked me up. I spent the night at her house, and she was Catholic, so she took me to the Catholic church, and he said, what do? We can't keep her. And he said, take her to the Covenant House, which was in Fort Lauderdale, right on the Strip, in 1985. And that's where I found crack cocaine.
Wow.
Yeah. Because up until then, other than my dad drugging me and my mom drugging me, because yes, I had to be drugged to do a lot of those things, I hadn't really been drugged. And it was mostly alcohol. My mom had these drinks that she would make me, and I would go to sleep and, that kind of thing.
The rich guy, he drugged you too? Or was he into drugs
So
himself?
I really don't know what it was that they had. Later in life, when him and I had a conversation, he said I had asthma or something, and there were these drops that I had to come in. But that's why I think he would come in my room and beat me to see if I was awake.
Was he married?
Yes.
And his wife was aware of this?
I would even sometimes sleep in the same bed.
I'm sorry, what?
Sometimes I would be in this. I would be. Yes. I had confronted her, but she cried finally recently, and it gets complicated, John, because how could she not know?
Right. Exactly.
How could you not know? And later, when we get to a further part of my story, I'll talk about the healing with that, because that's a healing, right?
Yeah, sure it is. And then hopefully they went to jail. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Most of them committed suicide or died.
Okay.
A lot of my
I don't
abusers.
mean to jump to the end. So
No, I mean, that's great. So I found crack cocaine, and I was pretty sure that all of you got to feel that way because you weren't dirty and broken like me. And so I thought you all felt that way every day. And this is I needed that to feel that way. And it was like heaven. But there was a rule at the Covenant House, you had to get involved with DCF, and you could only stay there for so long, and then you'd go to foster care. So I would stay there just long enough and run away from there. And then it's 1985, it's Fort Lauderdale, Las Olas Boulevard. If anybody knows anything about the 80s, it was crazy party time. So here I am, 15 years old, having 25-year-old boyfriends, 35-year-old boyfriends, meeting all the wrong people in the crack world, being, all the things that you have to do to get drugs, thinking that I'm normal doing them. And I thought I was okay because I didn't go all the way with men. So that made me not a prostitute. Or that made me not like that. But one thing I want to really touch on real quick is my father always said, you're going to be just like your mother. You're going to turn into your mother. You're going to be a scumbag just like your mother. And there I was, 15 years old with an 8th grade education, living on the street, smoking crack, doing some horrible things, living in trap houses, getting raped, all this horrible stuff. And I knew this is not what I wanted my life to be. And though my father was who he was, there was a lot of great lessons that he taught me. and I also learned the opulent lifestyle. So it was really difficult for me to like sleep on couches and sleep in dirty places. And you know what I mean? I lived like that for 7 years with my mom, but I got used to living
The high life with the rich
yeah,
guy.
and I didn't want to be like that. Like this was not okay. Like I'd run a hotel and be like, well, where are you sleeping? Because this is my bed, you know?
Since our thinking isn't right at this point,
Yeah.
I'm 15 years old and this
Yeah.
is just dirty. Everywhere is around me dirty.
Yeah.
Did it ever cross your mind to call the rich guy and say, can
Hell
we
no.
try? No. Good. Okay. I'm just
No.
checking. All right.
That comes later.
Go ahead.
All right. That comes later. So I didn't, and I ended up getting awarded the state of Florida, which is very hard in the 80s to get taken away custody from your parents.
Yeah.
But they knew. My caseworker knew, and everybody knew, and I went in front of the judge, and they popped it down and said, you're awarded the state of Florida. They took me away from him. And I went into some foster homes and some group homes, but I like the street life a lot, you know, and the foster homes I went to weren't really great. Like when I was literally locked in a room and only allowed to eat soup and bread when she let us out, and then butter like twice a day and eggs in the morning. And all the windows were nailed shut, and we figured out how to unbreak it, and then I ran back to Fort Lauderdale and did drugs. And to make a long story short, I eventually found my grandmother. When I lived with my mom, I did go from family member to family member, and so this was like really quick. It sounds kind of crazy, but my grandmother ran a cult called The Move, and it was a Christian cult, and you can actually look it up on the Discovery Channel. I think it's like the 3rd or 4th episode. It's called The Move, and I lived there. So that was my first experience with God. So God was strict, punishing. It was not good, you know, and but I found my grandmother, the case manager found my grandmother, so let's go live with your grandmother. And I went and lived with my grandmother, and my grandmother was wealthy. She owned nursing homes at this time. And she said, you know, she had a boyfriend. They were always 20 years younger, and never had anything. And that's the kind of men. And that's where I kind of got my pick for men. I'm like, there's the men like my father, or there's the men that you pick up and you say, you know, your life is to take care of me.
Right.
And but to make a long story short, she told all the men, you don't want Viv to, you know, don't let Viv, Vivi's not allowed in the house to go to the bathroom. I had to go to the bathroom in the basement. She had a huge plantation house, and I had to go to the bathroom in the basement because she let me live in like the little other quarters outside. And she would tell him she used to be a prostitute and she likes drugs and she does all these things, and then she'd go out of town and leave me with these men.
And these are all these people in your life up to this point, they're all related to you, correct?
Yes.
You got a sick family.
You have no idea.
I'm just saying.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess you do kind of. It gets better. So, yeah, and she would leave me with these men who would, you know, want to watch movies. Hey, let's watch a movie, and I'll get you some alcohol. And then a movie would be porn, and then they'd get me drunk. And then it was just, this was it. And then, so I left my grandmother. That didn't work out so good. And I went and stayed with an uncle who wasn't really an uncle, but he was okay. And then I ended up, well, I have to say that. Before my grandmother, I went back and visited my grandmother, and one of these guys' brothers, who knew who I was, said, let's go for a ride, and then got me some crack. And he got me crack, we smoked crack, he tried to lock me in a room with some dude to do stuff, and I ended up getting away. And so then he beat me up and said it's time to pay the piper. He beat me up really bad, raped me, and I called my grandmother and I told her, and her response to me was, why would you get into the car with a man? You know better. I'm like, this is your fiance's brother. So that was the second time I tried to kill myself. I was like 16. And then I ended up meeting a really cool girl at the institute that you get thrown in when you try to kill yourself. And the reason I tell you that is because I ended up getting a job, and I was going to live there and get my life together, and the phone rings, and it's my biological mother who says, come to California. I got a great house, this guy I live with, and he's really a good guy, and you can have your own room, and we'll get our lives together. And I mean, that was my dream. I mean, I loved my mom my whole life. Like, even though, like, all that stuff happened to me, I never looked at it like, I never saw it as nearly as bad as what my dad did to me.
Yeah.
You know, he was a million times worse. I was just doing what my mom wanted me to do, and I never really grew up thinking it was so bad till later in life I thought it, I saw it. So I went and stayed with my mom, and we already can tell how that's gonna go. My mom's still on heroin. I got a job. She took all my money. I was like really upset. I said, we came here to show our whole family that we're not, the black sheeps. We can do this. And she patted me on the face and said, get dressed, put something cute on, put your makeup on. I know what you need. We're gonna go do something fun. She took me to a crack house, put a crack pipe in my mouth, and then tried to pawn me off on the dope dealers and then this other dude. And it got pretty bad. I didn't do anything because this time I was old enough and I could say no. And I was like, no. And in the end, we're like robbing batteries out of cars to get drugs. And I'm so thirsty. And again, that opulent lifestyle, we're washing clothes in bathtubs, and I was like, this is not me. I can't do this. Like, this is a little too far. So I said, I gotta go. And she gave me a hug and said, look who's leaving who now. And I ended up getting a free bus pass because runaways at the time could get free bus passes. And I went back to Virginia and begged my uncle to let me stay with him. And, I had turned 17 with my mom. I turned 17, so I'm 17 now. I moved back to Virginia. I'm with my uncle, who lives in a trailer park in Virginia, who decides that it's a good idea for me to flirt with a lot of guys in the trailer park to get cocaine. All I got to do is sit on their laps. They're old. They can't do things. It's just one thing after another. So that's when I finally called my parents, because I was 17 years old, had an 8th grade education, and I was a scumbag. That's how I felt. I couldn't get off drugs, and every time I asked someone for help, they got me on drugs and wanted to prostitute me out, and this was my family. And
that was all you knew.
That's all I knew, man. Except for the life with my father, which was a lot of physical abuse and mental abuse, but at least he gave me the best of everything, right? I was safe. It was safer in some weird way. But not really. I didn't want to go back to him. I called my mom. I called my adopted mom. I said, please, I just want to get my GED and I want to go into the military. I'll do it. Please let me. And it took a lot of begging. She was like, I don't know. I mean, they hadn't talked to me since I ran away at 15. I ran away at 15 and never talked to them. And then they get a phone call at 17.
How old are you now? How old
17.
So you're 17. So did she give in and take you?
She did. She said, you can come, but you can get your GED and then you go into the Navy. I said, I will. And I did it. I got my GED, but the rules changed. I had to get 15 college credits to get into the military. And I started drinking a little bit too much, and I got a little mouthy, and my mother can't. This is what's so weird about my mother. My adopted mom's favorite shows are like Little House on the Prairie and the Antique Roadshow. She's never said a curse word. She's like Miss Prim and Proper. She's like the last Stepford wife, literally. And so, like, I'm a lot, if you know me. I'm a lot. I mean, I just have a lot of high energy, and she's always like, how are you? How's your day? And she's just so sweet, like the sweet person, And, but my dad never hit her. He only beat me, And I had resentments, obviously. But so that's when I called him. He was married now, and I was almost 18. So I'm like, I'm tough enough. I can handle it. He's not going to do all that stuff to me that he did. Plus, I'm 18. I'm not like 9, 10, 11. They're not as attracted to you when you get older.
Yeah.
That's probably why he got more angry with me. But anyway, he let me come and live with him, and I had to pay $400 a month. And this sounds like nothing, but I mean, this is like 1988, 87, and I'm paying $400 a month. I have a 12 o'clock curfew. I have to get a job. It's like, drill sergeant, I'm preparing you for the military. And I'm like, okay. And then I did cocaine again. I don't know how that happened.
Huh.
you know? So I really needed to get into the Navy because that was going to stop this drug problem. I just knew it, you know? And I ended up moving out like right away. Like as soon as I got like 3 paychecks, I was like, I'm out of here. I'm renting a room. I couldn't do it with him. You know, he just was just so verbally abusive. He would raise his hand and I'd freak out, you know? And I think he'd hit me and he threatened to. And so I left and I got accepted into the military. And I scored really high on my ASVAB.
Nice.
Which is crazy because I had an 8th grade education. Remember
I
that?
know. I was just about to say.
I never went to high school. I never went to the 9th grade, and I graduated like with you know took my GED. I went to 15 credits, and like my 15 credits of college were like whatever easy classes you could take just to get through, you know. And
But did it fix everything?
of course not. I didn't do drugs,
All right.
but I drank like a sailor and cursed like a sailor, and I sabotaged. You know, I ended up being one of the first women that got accepted into the nuke program out in the
San Diego?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was out in the field because they weren't really letting us in combat, so they were training us out in the field. They haven't opened it up to the schools yet, so we were like the trial team. Because I scored so high, I advanced 5 ranks right away. Like as soon as I finished A school, I graduated with a 97.5 in A school, so they advanced me 5 ranks, like boom, 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 because I was
Smart.
How much?
and there I was drinking like a fish, coming in and rolling in at 4 o'clock in the morning, having to wake up for reveille at 6 a.m., like wiping my makeup on, putting my yesterday's clothes on, shoving gum in my mouth, trying to make it there. And my officer grabbed me by the arm and said, we need to talk. And I thought, finally, somebody sees what I'm doing to myself. And he's like, you're junior sailor of the quarter. You know, you're going to meet with the captain. You're the best our fleet has. And I'm like,
Wow.
I'm going to die in here. You know what I mean? I was going to die, you know. But anyway, I finished the military, and I didn't.
How long did you do?
I only did almost 3 years, and I served in Desert Storm and Desert Shield.
Thanks for your service.
You're
Thank you for
welcome.
And I just want to say something about the lack of understanding of alcoholism, not only in the military, and not everybody does that, but some do, and I think that every profession puts up with a lot, and they just don't see it.
No.
It's hard to see that line to where you're partying and then when you're
But do you
over
think
the
it's
line.
more prevalent not to see in the military because it's so prevalent in the military?
I don't know.
That
I don't
they
want to
turned a
say
blind
that.
eye. They turned a blind eye to it because that's what sailors do, right? You go on,
Oh, yeah.
right?
When
I
you
don't-
port.
And I don't want to say that. I want to say that
That's what I did.
That-
this sailor.
that understanding has grown, especially in the last 20 years, of what addiction and alcoholism is.
Sure.
And when they didn't know, they didn't know. And, you know, and not just sailors, but, you know, soldiers, you know, you party hard and you work hard and you do the thing, and they do so much for us. And so it's hard to see when it's
Yeah.
living the life and when it's crossed that line into addiction and alcoholism.
I got out at 21, and
Where'd you go then?
I went to near Dunedin, Florida. I had a beautiful little apartment that I got all by myself. It was like $900 a month, and I was so proud of myself. And that's back in like 91. So I made big money. I was bartending. Like I was just that girl I could walk in. I would walk in a place and say, I want a job here. And the girls would say, well, we're not hiring. And I'd say, can I see the manager? And I would be hired on the spot. I just had a body on me back then. It was just like,
Look
women
at you.
didn't have, I had breast cancer. So before my breast cancer, I had humongous. And so like, it was like, in those kind of bars, it was like, you're going to make us a lot of money. We'll hire you. It was like a novelty for that.
But you also have something.
I guess. I don't
You
know.
do.
So I always got jobs. in,
Wasn't
like,
just the breasts.
I thought it was. Well, maybe it was the butt too, but anyway, I always thought it was that, you know, and that's all I thought it was worth anyway, John. Like, let's go with that. Like, that's what I
Okay,
thought it
we'll
was
go
worth,
with it.
right?
It was the breasts. All right.
It goes with my childhood,
Okay.
right? That's what I was worth. That's
Right.
what I thought I was worth. You know what I
And
mean?
it probably had a lot to do with it. They walk in, the people that are hiring you are men. They look at that and say, we need her behind the
Plus,
bar.
I knew how to be that way because that's all I ever was, right?
Right,
So they're
exactly.
like, oh, okay, you got the job, you know?
Manipulation, hustling, we can do it.
Or people would come into the bar I was working and own another bar and say, come work at my bar right now. And I'd be like, okay, you know? I was always being like tried. But you know, what I never got into was like I don't know. Anyway, to make a long story short, I drank for about 2 more years really hard and I was doing drugs again. And so I finally, I did a lot of moving. So then I'd move to St. Pete to get off the drugs because, you know, the drugs were getting there. And then I moved to Orlando to get off the drugs. And then I said to myself, you know, I thought I had a problem. Kinda. And I remember thinking, I'm going to talk to somebody that really knows about this stuff, which was my nail tech because she's so
Your nail
wise.
tech.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said, I think I have a problem with drinking. She said, do not go to AA. They are a cult. You're fine. You don't have a problem. I said, you know what? She's like, just don't. I said, well, you went? She said, yeah, I got a DUI. I said, that's what I need. When I get a DUI, or if I get a DUI, then I'll go to those meetings. Otherwise, you're right. I don't have a problem. And I was drinking and driving all the time. Guess what? I got a DUI. And I went to my first meeting. I was 23 years old. And I sat there. And, like, again, the cop was really weird. He went to my house, left his business card, sat in the car with me forever. Like, so I could have got out of this DUI. Like, completely got out of this DUI. Like,
Yeah.
and I went to the meeting. And the guy said to me, Phil, I loved Phil. He was an old timer. He said, how many times did you drink and drive and you should have got a DUI? And I was like, probably like 100, a million, I don't know. He's like, then take it or you're never going to get this. And I thought, okay, I'll do it because I don't want to live this way. And the thing that scared me the most was there was this guy that came in there and he had like a purple sock and a red sock and he was sticking and picking through the cigarette butt things and smoking cigarettes. And there was this lady with her stuff and all these like garbage bags and plastic bags. And they would tell these stories like how they had 100,000, that's a lot back then, 100,000 house and dogs and a wife and 2 cars. And I'm thinking, I'm in college and I can fit everything I own in a car and a little U-Haul. Like, I am not going this. And something told me, like, you know, the needle that you sew with, that little teeny hole in the needle, if there's that much of a chance that I'm an alcoholic, I don't want to do this. Why would I throw my whole life away for that? And you guys work these steps and do it. And then I learned that I wasn't a drug addict and alcoholic because of my childhood. That had nothing to do with it. I couldn't play the woe is me and all of that because you know what? That's what made it happen. That's why I'm an addict. I learned that had nothing to do with it. You know, it was a disease and it was a mind and an allergy problem, and I got such good recovery in AA. But you can't go through a childhood like that and not have some problems, you know. And I had a lot, so I have them dual diagnosed. You know, I have some really bad lows, and I had a lot of post-traumatic stress. And there was a lot of other things that weren't being treated that I didn't know and that I was afraid to treat because, again, I'm in the 90s and I don't want to take crazy medication. That's what it was to me. I don't think that way now because I've grown up and I've learned a lot of things. But back then, I was ashamed to take an antidepressant. Like, I spend the night at a friend's house and I got to go in the bathroom and hide it and hope that she doesn't see in my bag that I have pills, you know. Don't want you to see my Zoloft because you're going to think I'm nuts. You know what I mean? And that was a stigma back then. But I've grown up and I've learned a lot now and things are different. And that has to be treated. And I ended up getting 7.5 years my first time because I didn't make it every single time. I got 7.5 years and I was getting ready to go to William and Mary Law School. That's where I was getting this, I worked for the 420th richest man in the world. I was just lucky. And he had donated an entire wing to the college and the McCormick Center. And he was going to write a letter, so I was in. And then I met this guy, and he was a crack addict, and he was married, but he was getting divorced, and he was just such a nice guy, and God's like, here you go, your dream, be an attorney, get your school paid for. Here's this guy. It was an easy choice, you know. I went with the dude.
And then I met a guy.
And then I met a guy, and I'll tell you, relationships has taken me out every single time.
Probably me too.
It does a lot of people.
So anyway, in lieu of time, by the way,
Yeah,
for
I
those
know.
of you listening at home, you're listening to Rated
They
R
don't
for
have much.
Recovery. Our guest, we're talking to Vivian and telling this incredible story, which I'm just sitting back with my jaw down on the table here. What was the point where, so you had the 7.5 years, met the guy, relapsed, came back, right?
Yeah.
Met
I
a guy.
literally,
When was the last time? So what's your sobriety date?
my sobriety date is April 1st, 2016.
Okay,
I
very
had
good.
9 years.
First of all,
And most of my life I've been clean. My relapses have been short,
take us
luckily.
to April 15th of 2016 and your decision to come back again.
I had been through so much with my mental health issues. And I had been through a lot in the rooms, really, with trying so hard. I was trying so hard. And I didn't surrender enough, I think, to give God control. I was such a strong person. Remember, I pulled myself up, went in the military. I forgot to tell you that I paid my first house off at 37. I had 3 houses. I mean, I ended up being very successful, too. My point being was, when I got broken, I thought I was the one who fixed me.
Yeah.
And what happened this time was I was shattered, and I couldn't rise, John. I couldn't get up. I couldn't get up. I had lost my mind, and that was my ending. I was morally debilitated in my way I saw myself.
What was the way out for you this time?
I went to CA this time. I called and I got a sponsor, and I worked the steps. I had to, I'm one of those people, I have to go to church. I have to work my steps. I have to be physically fit and take care of myself. I have to put my mental health first. And the steps aren't enough for me. That's just my story. They're just not enough for me. And that's what really kept me sick a long time, is I had so many people say, well, you didn't do a 404 step, or you didn't do this. And it wasn't, the steps are perfect. It was a lot of people that would say that I didn't do things right. But what I can tell you was God spoke to me finally and was like, you have to do more. You can't just do the rooms. You have to have a full circle.
In fact, the literature says we may have to seek outside help.
Bingo.
And people gloss over that part, because today, and it might have existed as far back as man started squeezing grapes into wine, but there is a great deal of mental illness today, and it just seems more prevalent. I don't know why, maybe because I'm more aware. But
Well, and some of it can be treated with the steps, with therapy, with understanding.
Yes.
But some of it cannot. And those who, it's just like being a hard drinker. If you're a hard drinker, you can't really understand alcoholism, because you just don't get it. You were able to stop, so why aren't you able to stop? And so if you have some things, maybe from birth even, that need treatment, I mean, that's what the treatment is for. It's discerning and understanding who needs it versus who goes to doctors looking for something to fix me when there's really nothing wrong, but I told them that there is. And that's one end of the spectrum. And then the other end is the person who needs to put a whole bunch of things together.
Who's had that trauma, that severe trauma that started apparently.
I'm sure that's part of it.
Here we
That
are
may not
talking
be
about
all
you
of it.
in the middle. So,
okay.
so go ahead, get us to, in lieu of time, if you could just get us to the point that you surrendered and that you are experiencing a whole new life.
Yeah, because here's the deal. Alcohol and drugs give you that sense of ease and comfort right then.
Yep.
And I needed something to give me that ease and comfort right now. And the only thing that ever is giving me that sense of ease and comfort is God. I get a God shot. For me, it doesn't last 24/7. I don't have that constant connection with him. And when I don't have that constant connection with him, that's when I need to do my therapy. That's when I need to do church. That's when I need to reach out and do other things, because my brain, or however it's wired, isn't wired right, that I'm feeling that, even though I know in my heart and in my mind that he's always there.
Sure.
I don't feel it, and I can't connect to it, even though I know there's a darkness that I go to that I can't explain to anybody unless you've been there. And that's really hard when you're there and you know God loves you and you know you're doing all the right things.
Right, and yet still, you can't get out of it.
I can't get out of
And
it.
it's like crawling around in the dark with an electric plug to a light. And you're crawling around and you're looking for that
Looking
plug.
for the power.
And
Looking
then-
for the
yeah,
power.
Yeah, and then you find it and the light comes on and you're like, this is it. But it just doesn't stay there 24/7, 365. And pretty soon,
It dims.
you got to go
So
do
I
the
use a
work
RAP
again.
program, which is a wellness recovery application program, which actually Kimmy's is going to start. That has really helped me.
Would you say that one more time?
I have a wellness recovery action plan, which has helped me to have.
How did you get this plan?
It's actually from NAMI, which is the National Mental Health
Right.
Institute, right? It's an action plan to help me see all of the things that are going to happen before the relapse. It helps me to have things set in place with the people who are my support system that don't go do a 4-step. They go, hey, Vivian, these are your behaviors that you're doing, and what can we do to support you? Because I've written it all down, and they know how to support me. They know when I'm going in my lows. They know when things are there. It's really an amazing thing, and we have that class on Tuesdays. If you want to learn how to do it.
So we're going to get to the point that you are, what's your life like today?
So my life like today is I have a beautiful 19-year-old daughter who just
Yes.
graduated. The school actually called me this year and said they had an assignment to say who their hero was in their life. And the teacher said, it's been a long time since I've had a teenager in high school who said their hero was their mom.
Wow,
Oh.
that's going to make me cry.
She's never been molested. She's never been beat, and coming from what I came from,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
that's cool stuff.
And
That's
she
cool
was
stuff.
on she graduated on the National Honor Society. So
Good job,
she's a
Mom.
good kid.
Good job, Mom.
So you said something about Tuesday classes.
Yeah, so we at Kimmy's, in case you want to learn more about the rap, they're teaching it, the rap class, so you can learn about it, because
Tuesdays
it's
when?
really a powerful thing to help you with your mental health, your addiction issues, your life, everything, to help you so that you see your problems and your support can see your problems, because the relapse happens way before the relapse, you know?
Everybody could use that. But so they're Tuesday nights.
Tuesdays, I wish I remembered the times. 11 o'clock.
So they're Tuesdays at 11 o'clock here in Fort Myers, but if you don't have those near you, check with NAMI. Stands for National
Association.
Alliance
Mental health.
of Mental
Health.
Illness.
Illnesses.
Health
Right.
Illnesses. Okay.
Right. But they work a lot with addiction too.
Which
Stands
means
for-
national.
Right.
In other words, none of us know exactly what it stands for,
We
but
got
we'll
it.
have it after we come back from commercial break. But before we go to commercial break, Vivian has something she wants to say off her.
Well, you always say if you had
Well,
one
yes,
thing.
one thing
Yep.
to say. Go ahead. Look into the camera and say it.
You may write me down in history with bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I'll rise. Out of the hurts of my history, shame, I rise. Up from the past that is rooted in pain, I rise. Don't give up. No matter what, I never gave up. I just kept coming, no matter how many white
Wait.
chips I had.
Give Vivian a nice
Wait.
round of applause.
That was by Maya Angelou, by the way, and I just took bits and pieces of it.
That's
So-
what I was going to say.
And her book's all about resilience.
Yes.
You are one of the most impactful guests we've ever had, and so thank you very much, and we'll have you back to do something at some point. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break right now because we're way off our time schedule,
we're
but
fine.
who cares? Who cares? That's what I say. Who cares? So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. We're going to be hearing from Tom Hammond at the McGregor Clinic right after this.
Struggling with life's challenges? At The Next Step, we're here to guide you to a brighter tomorrow. Whether it's counseling, recovery support, or simply finding hope, we provide the tools and community to help you rise. Take the first step toward healing today. Visit thenextstep.org and discover how we can support your journey to wellness. Remember, every step forward is a step toward a better you. The Next Step, your path to hope, starts here. With offices in Fort Myers and Naples, 844-639-8371.
Have you been charged with a crime? You could face serious penalties for conviction, and it is vitally important that you have skilled legal assistance on your side during this time. Call Brian L. Edwards, Esquire, Attorney at Law today. 888-512-6254. Results matter. With a track record of success, our methods are tried and true. Mistakes happen, but we can help. Brian L. Edwards, Esquire, Attorney at Law. Visit FortMyersCriminalLawFirm.com or call 888-512-6254.
Not everyone has the luck of the Irish. If a friend or family member is in trouble, call Shamrock Bell Bonds. Put our number into your phone, 239-332-2245, 239-332-2245, or go online at gobailmeout.com. Shamrock Bell Bonds provides fast, reliable service. Shamrock Bell Bonds, 1528 Broadway, downtown Fort Myers. Look for the Shamrock, and maybe luck will be on your side.
Hello, I'm Michael Manzi, owner of JCI Solutions, 239-672-2673. When starting this company 3 years ago, I had no clue that we would grow to what we have become. There is one thing I can say that we have done from the beginning is take pride in our work, making sure every customer we do work for is satisfied from beginning to end. Offering residential painting all the way to commercial painting with jobs done in a timely manner, with highly skilled professionals giving you top-of-the-line work. To help you create your new look, call JCI Solutions, 239-672-2673.
Struggling with addiction? You're not alone. At Phoenix House Project, we believe in second chances and brighter tomorrows. Our proven programs offer support, hope, and tools to rebuild your life. With expert care and a community that understands, transformation starts here. It's time to rise, reclaim your life, and become the best version of yourself. Visit phoenixhouseproject.squarespace.com today or call 239-244-7876. The journey to recovery begins with sober living. Phoenix House Project, where hope takes flight.
Kimmy's Recovery Zone, where hope meets action. We're here to guide the journey from treatment to thriving, healthy living. With peer support, public education, and vital resources like housing, employment, and Narcan training, we're building stronger communities. Ready to make an impact? Together, we're creating a network of recovery, resilience, and renewed lives. Kimmy's Recovery Zone, your hub for healing and hope. Visit us online today at kimmysrecoveryzone.org. It's not how we survive, it's how we thrive.
Join us for connection, encouragement, and real transformation. At Celebrate Recovery at Grace Church, we celebrate God's healing power through the 12 steps of recovery and the life-changing principles found in the Beatitudes. Whether you're overcoming a hurt, habit, or hang-up, Celebrate Recovery offers a safe and supportive community where you can grow, heal, and thrive. Add to your recovery because you're not alone, and healing is possible. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at one of the 3 Grace Church locations. Learn more at egracechurch.com/recovery.
When children have to play inside so they don't disappear.
Welcome back to Rated R for Recovery.
So I haven't. We haven't. We don't have to.
Welcome back to Rated R for Recovery. That's Rated R, the number 4 Recovery on the World Wide Web, which nobody says that anymore. Nobody says World Wide Web anymore. So on the internet, it's Rated R, the number 4 Recovery.com. We also have a Facebook group, a Facebook page. You can hear the show on iTunes and see it on iTunes. No, see it on YouTube, hear it on iTunes, Spotify Music, Apple Music, and Pandora. So all sorts of venues that you'll be able to listen to, but on YouTube you actually get the video as well as the audio. So ladies and gentlemen, this segment, this is, by the way, a segment we like to affectionately call Kimmy's Corner, sponsored by Kimmy's Recovery Zone. And today, oh, by the way, Joy, NAMI is National Alliance on Mental Illness. Yes. So we got that straightened away.
I didn't think there was an H in there.
And representing McGregor Clinic is Jude Jean-Pierre. Give him a nice round of applause.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Al, take it over.
All right, Jude. I know Jude pretty well. We work together. We're I guess, one of the moving parts from McGregor Clinic. Yes. And so we're happy to have you here tonight to give us some information that's going to help us understand a lot more before we came here about what McGregor Clinic does and some of the areas that are affected by that. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about McGregor Clinic right now.
So my name is Jude. I'm the Director of Prevention and Community Services at the McGregor Clinic. We have 2 facilities, one at Broadway, the other one on Corral Road. We are an HIV and STI clinic. We offer HIV testing. We do appointments and walk-ins. We try to remove that barrier of, I can't get to a facility, so they can come in, and if they have a situation, we can provide testing for them and other resources and linkage like Kimmy's.
And so that means you're on the bus lines.
Yes, we also have a mobile unit that we use for outreach. One of the new projects that we have is we have a brand new mobile unit that we're going to be using to go to lower income populations, homelessness, really focusing on recovery, detoxing. So we're partnering with a lot of other facilities and partners in Lee County.
Like a blood mobile? No? You said a mobile unit, right?
It's got things for testing.
Well, I don't mean to go do your blood, but I mean like the blood mobile comes to your community and okay.
Correct. So we do a lot of stuff within the community, a lot of events, a lot of Pride events. We went to Naples Pride, Cape Coral Pride.
Nice.
We're going to Bonita Springs Pride, Charlotte Pride. So we're all over the place, and we're trying to get into some new areas. That's why we brought the new mobile unit. Kind of go to those lower income facilities, lower income populations, focusing on Hep C. A lot of times when you see substance abuse, you see Hep C related to that. So we want to offer treatment, testing to any individuals who identify with that, yes.
And even if you don't have Hep C or like a communicable disease, if you're in a lower income community, you may not have access to even health services.
And that's the biggest barrier we're trying to address, access and coming to where people are, meeting them where they're at, and then offering them free testing, free services. Along with that is we're also working with a lot of the partners, like Kimmy's in Lee County.
Keep saying Kimmy's.
Yeah.
Connecting, like if we have somebody on the bus who says, hey, I need mental health, we can send them to the partners that we affiliate with and have them get services that way.
Let me ask you something, too. What was the mission? How did the mission start with McGregor Clinic? Because I've seen it grow by leaps and bounds, the mobile unit. So, you know, where was the mission? Where did that start, most importantly? And then what was your mission when you got involved?
So I was only a young child when they started. They were providing services in Lee County, and I believe funding was cut. So they all partnered together, got a community meeting going, and everyone came together, and they made the facility that we have on Broadway. I have a background from the health department. I used to work in public health, did a lot with substance abuse, used to work at Charlotte Behavioral Rehab Center. So I did a lot of work there, and I did a lot of testing. So when McGregor had a position, I was like, this is my next step. I want to be here. I like the culture. I like the staff, and here I am, and I'm loving it.
So to do what we all do, we have to love it. We have to love the people.
Yes.
Because that's really what makes it all work together. I think all of us in here, I got to compliment everybody that works in our circle, that if it wasn't for the love to help other people, we wouldn't have so many great, great people doing great things, and you're one of them, and we really, really appreciate it. And if you have Hep C, how is that treated? Is that a long process?
A while ago, it used to be very expensive to get Hep C treatment. It was one of those things where you had to be a celebrity to get the treatment. It cost over $100,000. And with new funding, they were able to bring it down and start with one pill. Now it's affordable. People who can get on trials can get the payments reduced or no payments at all. There's different options to getting the treatment. It's a course of a couple months or a month of the treatment, and then you're cured from the pills themselves.
Absolutely. And it's if you're in recovery, treatment and being tested and things like that, how important would you say that is to be tested, especially us in recovery and people that might not be in recovery, and being tested and educated on their sexual health?
So with my background, what I saw a lot of was IV drug use. I had a lot of background in helping those that had some issues with IV drug use, and one thing I found was a lot of times when you saw needle sharing, you saw HIV and you saw Hep C, and that's where the mission for the new bus came, and we encouraged everyone to get tested, and that's where we're finding the misconceptions about Hep C. Not just usage, but a lot of people believed you can contract Hep C on your own. Like if I'm just sitting here and I have my own needles, I can get Hep C on itself. So the education's really going out, telling them about getting tested, not sharing needles and things like that. And then for the populations not involved in that, the same importance of getting tested, making sure you know your status, getting tested for HIV and any other STIs is just as paramount.
Because even though you don't use a needle, you can get it from someone who does and not be aware.
The risks sexually are kind of low, but it's
kinda
still
low.
There's still risk involved, especially if you have a partner who has Hep C.
Yes.
You can still have risks involved with that.
Okay. And how about the numbers today? What were they 5 years ago, and what are the numbers today? Are they withdrawing or are they going up?
So the numbers have been going up. Since COVID, though, there have been some situations where we saw increases in infections due to facilities closing, people not getting tested. We saw a high increase in syphilis and HIV, but we've been able to do the work and catch back up, and it's starting to decrease. In Lee County, we have over 2,000 individuals with HIV, and some of them may not be in care. So again, the bus is doing its thing to address that, go to those areas and offer access. Move that closer.
How easy is it to get in touch with you, and how quick can somebody be seen and tested? Is that a phone call away and a day away?
So you can always Google McGregor Clinic, and you can make an appointment. We also take walk-ins at our prevention department. If you are in a situation, you need testing, you don't have insurance, we can accommodate you.
Okay. All right, give me one of your top success stories at McGregor Clinic.
Oh, man.
They've done so many. Give me one.
Got me
I
on the
love
spot.
McGregor Clinic. They do great work.
I think just opening it up for more people to get access, providing walk-ins. I think that's been a game changer for us. Before, when you think about people knowing about HIV and access, it was always, I don't want to just go to a doctor. I got to pay a fee. I got to make an appointment. Now it's where we've had some individuals come in and say, I have a situation, I need to see somebody. And we've just like, come on in, we'll help you out. And that's what we kind of want to do with what we do in the community too. So I would say that's one of them so far.
Okay. Well, you know, the work we do, I would say that sometimes it plays with us a little bit in our head and our mind, and we have to stay focused. And how do we do that? What's one of the ways that you stay focused and don't let some of these things happen, take you down, so to speak? And in the end, a lot of us wind up needing somebody to help us. So we need somebody to stand by you. And who do you have to stand by you besides me right now?
Well, I have a great staff, the young ladies I work with, and the new employee we have, John, who's going to be working with me on the mobile unit. Also, just working with you guys and the opportunities you at Kimmy's provide us with the food pantry, allowing us to do tabling there, some of the things you do on Saturdays for the kids. That kind of keeps us motivated. And then offering things to the community, like tomorrow we have National HIV Testing Day. We're going to be at the Walgreens at the corner of Cleveland and Corral Road from 10 to 7 People can just come up to the mobile unit, get tested, and it's in partnership with Walgreens. They've been doing it since 2011.
So that's tomorrow. Will you say all that one more time?
Tomorrow at 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. at the Walgreens at the corner of Corral Road and Cleveland Ave. Walgreens will be partnering with us, and they've been doing it for a long time, since 2011. 575 Walgreens across the country are going to be doing that. So if you go to Walgreens in Tampa, Miami, you're going to see somebody there doing the same thing we're doing.
Across the nation, check it out. And it's National HIV Testing Day.
Yep.
Okay.
And then...
You said you didn't want to forget anything. Do you remember what you didn't want to forget?
I think I got everything.
Oh, wow.
You think you got everything? I think you got everything.
I think it sounded great.
Yeah.
Give Jude a nice round of applause.
Thanks for having me.
So what we're going to do right now is we had our segment has gone a little bit longer than it's sometimes expected, but it was well worth it. Give Vivian a nice round of applause.
Yeah. Very nice, Vivian.
One of the most impactful testimonies we've had on this show.
And a lot of information.
So, Joy,
Yes.
you realize what's happening? Go ahead, Al. You want to say something?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. Can I?
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yes.
Okay.
How much?
All right.
This is our
All right.
entertainment.
Well, this is great. I gave it you for your approval, but John, we didn't reach you for your approval. Or Mark up there, we didn't get your approval.
We got the approval.
What do we need approval for?
Mark's working overtime now.
Al's
Okay,
gonna
so this
sing.
comes from not only KRZ, but I think it comes from the community that's working very, very hard to help people.
WKRZ in Cincinnati?
KRZ in Cincinnati is one of them. That's our second location.
Close.
So, and Heidi's works there on the weekends. Hi, Heidi. Thanks you, Heidi.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you, Heidi.
Okay, so I will stand by you, a promise to humanity. From the moment we were born, we need someone to guide us, lift us, to love us. And in the world full of challenge and noise, let our promise, we will stand by you. If you lost troubled waters, if your voice trembles as you reach for help, I will stand by you. If your heart breaks from love or from life, I will stand by you. If you're struggling with your mind, if addiction has taken its hold, if you're walking the edge of despair, I will stand by you. If you need shelter from the storm, if you need food for your body or hope for your soul, I will stand by you. If your strength is fading, take mine. I will carry you. I will stand by you. So I pray, let me be strong enough, bold enough, compassionate enough to never let another soul stand alone. You are all not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not broken. And you are not alone. You are loved, and I am here, and I will stand by you. And that comes from KRZ and this whole community. So thank you.
Nice.
Very good, Al. Very good. So Al and Joy.
Minute left.
Al, Joy, are you aware of what's happening next week right here on this stage at Rated R for Recovery?
No, I forgot.
Well, let me tell you. Let me introduce. So Alan and Kelly have a little duo that they do. They're Nashville recording artists.
The best, the greatest.
And they are doing their very own CD release party right here at I almost said Kimmy's Recovery Zone, right here at Rated R for Recovery. That's next week. In addition to that, we're going to hear from Darren and his wife. I lost it. Where was it? Oh, boy. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves for a second.
Well, are we going to hear from Alan and Kelly, or Alan a little bit, or
We are going
something
to
like
hear, in lieu of that, and we may.
who knows what's going to happen? Something's going to happen.
There's
next
a
week,
husband and wife coming on, and their last name, well, I'm not going to use their last name, Darren, and I forget the woman's last name.
Okay.
But
First name.
Stacy. Darren and Stacy. Could be Shirley, I'm not sure. But they're going to be on, and they're friends of Alan and Kelly's. Joy, you with
Okay,
me?
yeah.
Stay with me, Joy.
Yeah, I'm back.
Stay with me. And they're going to share about one of them being the addict and the alcoholic and how the other one was devastated by the other's addiction.
All right.
And then we're going to have a party. We're going to have refreshments and whatnots.
Oh,
and
I love
CDs,
whatnots.
And CDs, because it is, yes,
And
ladies
merch.
and gentlemen, a CD release party. So I want to thank everybody for watching at home. Thank this whole packed audience here for tonight, and we'll see you
Thanks
next
for your
week
support,
at
man.
Kimmy at Rated R for Recovery at ratedrforrecovery.com. Good night.
Good night. Thank you, Mark.
Good night. Good night.